Welcome back, viewers at home. Now, as we know, on the 10th of September, it is World Suicide Prevention Day. And tonight, we are joined by Mohammed Uzair Bhamjee, who is a psychologist, as well as owner of Soulful Psychology. And is here to guide us through the prevention and rather the complexities of suicide awareness, offering a valuable perspective on how we can support those struggling with thoughts of suicide and create a more compassionate and informed society. Assalamu alaikum and jazakallah so much for joining us.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's great to be back.
Always a pleasure, Mohammed. Now, just before we get to other aspects of suicide, I'd like for you to take us through some of the misconceptions that are surrounding suicide that people may have.
I think the first thing we look at is literally the topic of suicide, right? Because people think when we have this topic of suicide and we speak about it, it's like taboo. We cannot actually speak about it. Now, I have to also say that in the past few years, there has been an improvement and more activism, more people speaking out about it, more influencers, creating awareness out there. But nonetheless, it's still not as sufficient. There's a lot more work that needs to be done, right? But previously, we'd look at speaking about suicide. Even currently, some people you'd speak about suicide too, and it's like, how can you, it's something we don't talk about.
Yeah.
Don't ever speak about anything like that. So I think we need to get rid of that speaking about suicide is actually going to aggravate the symptoms and cause the person to actually commit suicide, right? I think that's actually not, I think it's actually a myth. There's been research studies that have been done over and over, and what they indicate to us is that the more awareness there is of suicide, the more people actually seek help. So I think it's something that we need to be cognizant about, right? The other thing is that suicide only affects people that look and appear to be sad, and I mean, suicide has no race, religion, color, age, gender. It does not have it. So we have to keep an open mind about this thing that, it's something that has always been there, and it is here currently. We hope for it not to be there in the future.
Certainly, and I'm loving the fact that you're highlighting it doesn't, target a specific race or a specific religion, because you find that in the Muslim community, you find individuals who are so, chokehold by the stigma of you have the Quran, are you praying your salah, then why do you think you have suicidal thoughts or even have depression at that? And I'm just looking forward to more insight from you, Mohammed. But with that being said, we find, as you mentioned now, the coddling culture, a lot of people feel like it shouldn't exist because it existing, it creates, as you're saying, it aggravates the idea of people wanting to commit suicide. I want to find out from you, why is it important for us to actively challenge these misconceptions around suicide?
I think we need to move away from the whole shaming thing, because if there isn't awareness about it, people are going to be struggling internally. And let's look at it as Muslims.
Yeah.
Even without Muslims, as human beings,
Yeah.
we have a duty to other human beings, our fellow brothers, sisters, cousins, friends, communities. We have a duty to these people. And if we shy away from speaking about such topics, how do we expect to create awareness about it, knowing that we've got the knowledge about it? And I mean, how do we stand to our Creator on the day of Qiyamah saying that we knew about it, but we chose not to speak about it because we were afraid to do it, because what would people actually say?
Yeah.
I think we need to move. I mean, we're sitting in 2025, and I mean, it's a topic that I'm extremely passionate about in terms of breaking that stigma between religion, mental health, culture, and understanding what influences what. But of recent, I spoke to an alim, and he mentioned something interesting, that you can have a good diet, but it doesn't exempt you from getting ill. And you can have a diet that is not as good, and it doesn't guarantee that you are going to get ill. But I mean, we have to take our precautions in that way also. So what this means is that we can read our salah, we can read our Quran, we can do everything, but it doesn't mean that we will be exempt from depression. And this is not coming from me, it's coming from a renowned alim, right? On that note, we also need to understand that should awareness be created, should the time be given to the particular topic, I think we'd be saving a lot more lives.
Yeah.
It's not about, if you speak about it, as I mentioned earlier, people are going to go, people may research it and say, well, I need help, and help is available.
True. And you mentioned something in your answering my first question around how we always think, you know, so suicide or the idea of having suicide has a look in terms of, oh, they're looking so sad and they're not smiling anymore. But oftenly we hear that it's the ones that were like making jokes and, you know, everybody was smiling and checking on everybody who actually committed suicide. How do we then, or is there a way of us identifying without the person coming forward to say, this person is not okay?
So I think we need to, it's a brilliant question, and we need to understand what's the, you know, who are we working with, the people that we are working with, right? We need to be present. That's the most important thing, to understand, has this person been withdrawing of recent? Even though, as you said, they don't have to be smart, they don't always appear to be sad and down, but we need to look for cues.
Okay.
Sometimes that simple withdrawing from family gatherings. Sometimes, you know, people actually start giving away their belongings. And once they start giving away their belongings, they're kind of prepping and preparing, you know what, let me give everything away so that when I go, everyone's happy with what they've got.
Yeah.
Those are some of the things that we overlook, and it might sound shallow, but I'm talking from personal experience. I've seen these things happening, and families often come, but you know what, they gave us this and we thought, what on earth? How is this? We also have to be, you know, cognizant on our interactions with these people. The moment they start saying, you know what, sometimes it's better off that, you know, I'm not around anymore, it would be easier, or it's better off I go to my creator, I may be happier there. Or sometimes, you know, even just asking for people to constantly be present and seeing who would be there for them. I often, and this is so common actually, I often work with, in a hospital setting, and we tend to find the person would say, you know, they actually asked me, I need help, where are you? Or would you be coming? And you know, some people come for therapy and they say, you know what, my friend actually committed suicide. He died by suicide. And his final messages were you coming? And I was busy. And sometimes those are some of the things that we need to understand, who we're working with, and do these people generally always ask for help? Or is it like occasionally, where are they? But sometimes we have to open these discussions and speak to our friends. Look, I see that you are depressed. I see that there are symptoms. You're losing interest in activities. You know, your appetite is gone. You know, you got this anger outburst. I see you going through a difficult time. Is everything okay? We need to ask these questions.
Yeah, you know, Mohammed, you have me thinking to how, as you know, the younger generation, when somebody now tells you how they feel, like, you know, I appreciate you, and you're like, are you dying? Like, what's going on? And do you think that's also a contributing factor to sort of, you know, downwashing what the person can potentially be trying to say? Or I don't know how, I don't have the best way of putting it, but you know, sometimes when somebody is trying to say something, and in us, in our jestful ways, you could potentially be pushing someone away, or you could potentially, I don't know, make the other person feel some type of way. Is there a possibility?
So what I'm hearing from your question is more about seeking clarity. Is this a praise, or is it a call for help? To see how your response would be, right? So I wouldn't downplay the fact that it can be a call, but also we need to be cognizant of the times that we're in again. Emotion is a lot more, you know, there's a lot more emotional awareness that's out there in the public settings, in schools, madrasa, I hope madrasas as well. But it's ingrained in curriculum also. So sometimes it may be that, but our response, regardless of whether it's a cry for help or whether it's actually a praise, should be mindful. It's not should be, oh yeah, don't worry about it. It should not be downplayed. We should actually acknowledge, and we should learn how to sit with our own discomfort. That, okay, you know, someone is praising us now. I haven't got this in a while, so just to sit with that discomfort, and actually to make it comfortable, because we need to understand, in relation to this, even those that are experiencing, you know, these depressive symptoms or uncomfortable emotions are comfortable and uncomfortable, and they have a beginning, middle, and an end. And they have to all work together in order for us to actually feel the most pleasurable emotions. We can't expect only to feel happy without having sadness, or sadness without happiness. They have to be working together. And as cultural people, we need to be aware of that. That it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to speak up and say, look, I'm not doing well today, I need help. And that's the part where people come in and say, you know what, get over it. It'll be okay. No, it's not as simple as that. It's really not.
And now, with creating that supportive environment and holistically a supportive society, at what point do we become supportive, and at what point do we become like, smothering, and now sort of, it's like when you find a parent who says, okay, my child is always in their room, and now you're just dragging the child to be outside with everybody and attending family gatherings, and or maybe you're just like, okay, also attending to how they want to be cared for, but at the same time, you don't know when are you overstepping, when are you not overstepping. So is there a way of being supportive where you are doing what you truly need to do as a parent, as a friend, as a loved one, and at the same time, you're being of great impact to the individual?
Absolutely, and I think we need to distinguish the relationship between I'm going full out and I'm actually doing it, and me being serving a supportive role.
Okay.
So serving a supportive role can look like, is everything okay? What can I do for you? Is there anything I can do for you? I'd like to help you. How would you like me to be there for you?
Yeah.
That could be a support. Instead of saying, listen here, you now have to eat now. You have to come out of your room. Instead of being enforcing, we need to take a step back, because remember something, this individual is undergoing a lot of pressure already.
Yeah.
By you doing that, you're adding more pressure. And the brain sees whether it's good pressure, bad pressure, the brain sees pressure is pressure.
Yeah.
And that then causes the individual to kind of isolate and pull back even further, which then creates more discomfort, and then we try to enforce more. So support, I think your question leads a lot to support, and we need to understand that support could also look like, I don't know what you're going through, but I'm here for you. If you'd like me to listen to you, I'm here for you. And support could also look like, if you'd like a psychologist, if you'd like a therapist, if you'd like to seek help, I'm also there, and I'm open to that. And it would also look like, you know what, when's your first appointment? I'm happy to go with you for your first appointment. I'm walking this journey with you.
Yeah. And for individuals who are now, going through these suicidal thoughts, speaking to them now, what advice would you give them? Is it a matter, because, with stress and too much anxiety and the fast-paced life we're living, is it a matter of looking into their diet, or is it a matter of the medication that they need to look into, or they just need to go to therapy? What would you, prescribe for viewers who are watching right now and they are silently having those suicidal thoughts, or are looking forward to coming out to the family and saying, this is what I've been struggling with?
I think it's a holistic approach that needs to be taken.
Okay.
Therapy is not the only thing there. Number one, when we're talking about therapy, we need to make sure when an individual is depressed, when there's suicide involved, suicidal thoughts that are there, even the thought of not living. And suicidal thoughts, I think it's important that I mention this. It's not only I want to die, I want to kill myself.
Yeah.
Suicidal thoughts could also look like ideation, as we'd say. It would look like, it's better if I'm not in this world anymore. If the angel of death has to take me, I'd be happy to go. In that sense. Now, there's different phases, people on different spiritual levels. We're not talking of that. We're talking of people happy to go because of the difficulty that they're currently facing in life. And it's often common and downplayed by spiritual and cultural people, right?
Yeah.
I often hear people saying, if God has to take me, better God must just take me away from you.
Yeah.
And you think, and that's a sign. That's a sign that this person is under pressure. But then again, we need to make sure that the individuals go through for therapy to psychologists, to registered counselors for certain mental health things. Registered counselors meaning these individuals are registered with the HPCSA, and it's very rife out there. With all due respect, we have counselors, we have life coaches and so forth, but each one has their own place.
Yeah.
And we often find people overstepping their boundaries, and if they are in that position that are doing that, understand that we're not working with something light, we're working with life and death. So psychiatry is there, psychology is also there, as well as individuals registered with the HPCSA. And worst case scenario, if the individual can't get to your psychologist or to a psychiatrist in time, go to your general practitioner, go to your doctor, and I'm sure they'd be more than happy to help.
And now taking it on a larger scale to say, how does then the society, or what role does the society then play in reducing these incidents of suicide?
We need to move away again from shame and blame. Society, communities, so your masjids, your religious centers, your community centers, they play an important role in terms of upliftment, in terms of creating awareness. Even your NGOs, they play a fantastic role with all these things. So we need to understand that if they are in that particular position, use it to uplift mental health also. Yeah, I mean, it's not only it's not only mental health organizations that are restricted to working with mental health. There's so many NGOs. I mean, I used to be previously with Gift of the Givers as well. And they've got a fantastic care line that's actually offering free therapy.
Wow.
So, and it can be done telephonically. And they've got social workers that are there. That's another avenue of assistance. Social workers are equipped to deal with these things as well. But nonetheless, there's SADC, South African Anxiety and Depression Group, Lifeline. I think the suicide hotline number is 0800 567 567. So we've got these resources here. But communities as a whole, imams need to be speaking about this on their Friday sermons. It's all well and good where we're speaking about the Sahaba, where we're speaking about the prophets and the predecessors and spreading deen, but we also need to focus on preserving health.
Yeah.
We have to focus on that. We need to speak about these things. And with that being said, there are also a lot of ulama, there are religious leaders, not only specific to the Muslim community, but to all communities out there that are doing fantastic work overall. But we need to up that now.
Now, just in closing, Mohammed, I want to ask you, because I read an article that says some of the contributing factors are not only mental. You find unemployment, you find poverty. What, message or what antidote would you have around that? Because we know that unemployment is something that's affecting so many people. I think even our government is struggling to actually, bring a solution to it. You're looking at poverty. What would be your message to our viewers at home in addressing or creating awareness around suicide?
So, number one, when it comes to your unemployment, we look at it from your Maslow hierarchy of needs, your basic needs. So automatically there would be those feelings of worthless, helpless, down, sad, depressed, and there's a difference again between sadness and depression, but nonetheless that's another topic. But it's normal to experience such symptoms. The moment that these symptoms continue and they actually persistent for over a period of time, 1 week goes, and now you're noticing, these things are not getting, it's not getting better, I'm not managing. I think that's when we say, let's go and seek help for this. Let's go out and seek help. It's very difficult for you to say, don't worry, you're going to get a job. But I'm not going to be that person providing an employment opportunity for that, but we can help the person hold on to their resilience. We can help them understand what are their strengths, their inner capacities, to understand what's actually holding them down. We often see it comes to that, and that would be the crippling point, where they actually seek help, but below that, there's so much more that's going on. And it's so phenomenal to see when individuals actually come through, they come through for a particular reason. And when they start working through, they're like, wow, if only I dealt with this so many years ago, this incident, this situation would be so much easier. But nonetheless, I reassure them that, look, you are where you're supposed to be. And there's a reason, and there's within difficulty, there's ease. And as difficult as it is to hang on to that, we have to be cognizant that we've been given this difficulty. It doesn't mean that we'll never be able to overcome it. And our life and death is written for us. We don't have control of it. So instead of taking the control or trying to take control of your death, if it's meant to happen, it's going to happen. Don't put it on your own.
Mohammed, Jazakallah so much, for joining us and really giving us insight on how we can be a better society around the conversation of suicide. Firstly, not making it a taboo. Secondly, asking the right questions to say, how can I help, rather than thinking we have it all figured out, especially when it comes to a relationship of, parent and child. But Jazakallah so much for that clarity.
Shukran. Thanks for shedding light on this topic.
Viewers at home, that was Mohammed Uzair Bhamjee, who is a psychologist as well as the owner of Soulful Psychology, sharing in on how or rather what it would take for us to ensure that we support those who are having suicidal thoughts, and we create an environment where hopefully with time, things of suicide thoughts are things of the past. But hope you guys did enjoy that. For now, let's head over to an ad break. We'll see you just after this.